Games, board games, Kickstarters, it's what I'm talking about. Board games and Kickstarters, well, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing, and I'm here to sit and ponder reasons why to do a Kickstarter. But first, I'll talk about recent stuff. But wait 3 minutes and I'll start soon enough. Board games and Kickstarter, I guess crowdfunding. No, Kickstarter. It's what I'm talking about. Board games and pondering why to do a Kickstarter. I'm not going to shout. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. 10 a.m. UK time for Busy Beats and Board Game Blether. And hello, Faranak, it is a delight to see you. As you might notice, my camera is slightly shaky because I am streaming from my mobile phone. Unfortunately, my laptop is still completely broken after you might have seen it break down yesterday. And I have an appointment at 11:45 to go and get it sorted, which, fingers crossed. And yeah, hopefully that'll work. Hopefully I'll be able to get my laptop fixed. Because obviously that's a major bummer. I mean, it's a big thing for work. It's a big thing for being able to do creative stuff. Like, it's how I know who's bought a game off me. But yeah. And Farnek says, it's all right. I'm listening to you well. Hopefully the audio is coming through totally fine. So thank you for joining. Before I get to the main topic, I'm going to spend a minute talking about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. Yesterday I played my first mission of Micro Macro Crime City. It is, basically scouting around, trying to find the same character, at different points in the time so you can put together a story. And it's, really interestingly illustrated. It is possibly the most close call between art and rules design and experience that I've seen in any board game. Cause, let's see if I can. So, Micro Macro Crime City, you've got a big map. It's so big, it's like bigger than any table I've got. And then in it, you see these tiny little characters going around, and you might be like, okay, what's gone on here? What's gone in the past? And maybe you see the same character, in a crowd, and then it's like, okay, what did that mean? What is the chronological order of this? And you have to answer questions. Lovely. I had played Periodic before. I was reading through the science sheet. I'll probably do a review of that at some point. I had a read of the Dice Theme Park rulebook. Sounds interesting. I'm excited to give it a go. My main highlight is actually going out and dancing Sarok. Honestly, I was so exhausted by the whole thing. Coming back and be like, oh, my laptop is broken. What do I do? I just want to sleep here and just like throw the day away. But instead, I managed to get myself out, managed to make an appointment, which I'm proud of myself for. And then I got myself down to Sorok for dancing. Yes, I was like more than half an hour late, but that was okay. I managed to catch up. And everyone was like, wow, this is your first time here. You're really good. Yeah, because I've done other types of dancing here. And if you want a really simple dance style, then Sorok or Lorok, they are basically artificial dances. It is engineered for this one organization. And I don't know if it's a franchise or if it's a or if all of them are owned by one. But I'm not sure what the kind of business thing is, but that's an interesting thing. But for sure, doing salsa or dances that have kind of been designed not just for this one school, but for everyone is kind of a bit more satisfying to me. But given that I was able to get a really good beginner deal, I was like, yeah, I'll pay you £39 for 6 classes. Yeah, I'll do the free intro class. And so that's how I am where I am. So CD says, hey, I haven't played that one, but it looks really fun. Are you talking about Micro Macro? Yeah, it is like a really cool game, and it's actually really challenging. Basically, if you like Where's Wally or Where's Waldo, depending on where you're from, then you will enjoy this game. My laptop is not alright at all. I have an appointment, and hopefully it will be alright. And I have no idea if they can rescue my documents. So, fingers crossed. But thank you for being here, and thank you for... I don't know if you saw my Facebook. Did I post it on... No, I posted it on Twitter, sorry. I didn't post it on Facebook at all. But if you go to my twitter.com/stuffbybez, I posted a list of my highlights for yesterday, and you were one of my highlights, kind of keeping the stream going and doing that. Thank you very much. And hello, Yoda, it is a delight to see you. Anyway, if you've got any questionably quick questions, go ahead. Otherwise, brilliant thing, what's a little thing which is brilliant? I'm going to say today, freezers. This water's been sitting out all night, and it's no longer cool. But with freezers, I get to fill the bottle with water, put it on its side, and then have frozen water. Then the next morning, I put in more water, and hey, I've got cold water, ice water, and freezers are just brilliant. And also kind of keeping food for potentially years, as long as you've got electricity. That's brilliant. That's amazing. What a technological marvel. And how often do we really appreciate the freezer? And also, if you think about it, blood. I mean, blood transfusions would not be viable without amazing freezers. So let's hear it for freezers. That's what I want to say. As always, comment, ask questions, thumb, like, follow. Let's crack on and talk about... yeah, water is brilliant as well, but I've already talked about water a couple of times, I'm fairly sure. But freezers, yes. And also water, especially in a hot climate. So, yeah, anyway, Kickstarter. So, reasons to do a Kickstarter. This is not a thorough list. This is, if I were to actually write down a list, if I had my laptop, I probably would have written a list and then edited it and then had to think about it for half an hour, and I would have done a better job. But I'm just going to do it off the cuff. I was planning to launch a Kickstarter yesterday for just a few days, not going to lie. It's probably not going to happen because, no laptop. It's a bit difficult to launch a Kickstarter without an actual computer. But anyway, reasons why I wanted to do a Kickstarter. Why do I want to do a Kickstarter? The most important reason, and one important reason, is to fund that project. That's the reason why I did In a Bind on Kickstarter. I said, okay, I need about £3,000 to fund the printing. That's what I need. And so getting the money to fund the printing, that's an important reason. Now, another reason that might feel a little bit out with the scope of Kickstarter, but the reality is that a lot of companies do have the funds to do their next project, but if they were to spend those funds doing that next project, they wouldn't be able to do anything afterwards. And similarly for me, let's be honest, when I'm doing only 50 or 100 games and are in tiny little bags, I can afford to do that. I mean, I am quite short of money and I'm having to borrow quite a bit this month, but generally like £150, £300, yeah, I can afford that. But if I do a Kickstarter and I get that money from other people, that will not only mean that I'm able to do it without, worrying about the financials so much, but also it will mean that I'm able to then fund my next thing. And that's the thing, because being a business, it's not just about, hey, if I put all my money in, if I borrowed, do I have the money for this one thing? It's also about, do I have the money for this thing and to continue operating as a business? And so it's kind of like, yeah, whatever I spend on this is money that I don't have to spend on the next thing, if that makes sense. So it's fundamentally, it's the same reason, but I just wanted to make that small distinction. Now, reason 3 is something that people talk about all the time. It's to estimate consumer demand. There's no way that I would have printed 1,000 copies of a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some experiences had I not had, I can't remember what it was, like 600, 800 people backed for a copy of that. That was amazing. And I had like 550 copies that were spoken for, like 550 physical copies. People already wanted them. And I was like, okay, I could, because it's print on demand, I could print 700 copies, or I could, go to 1,000. And as it happens, like 1,000 was the right call, because I've got however many is in this small box. And this is basically all my games that are my busy bargain bags right now, so it's not very much at all. And so, yeah, that's all that remains. I've got about 5 copies of a game about wee whimsical. So yeah, basically the point is that 1,000 copies was a really good idea, but I only was firstly financially able to do it, and second, and going to point 2, I was able to do it, but then continue putting my own money into other projects. And point 3, I was able to know that there was the demand, and it meant that, hey, I actually sold out, which was brilliant. And yeah, part of that is probably because I was lucky enough to be nominated for Golden Geek, which helped a lot of people find out about it anyway. So those 3 reasons. The 4th reason, which I think is a nice reason that I really enjoy, is to have a communication channel between you and your backers, like to say, hey, this is what I'm trying to make, what do you think? And maybe allow them to tweak things, maybe allow them to notice things, maybe even ask their opinion on stuff and involve them in stuff. And even if they aren't changing that specific project, just having that open communication between them can be really nice. And having a method where you can, have discussions and have a forum where they can engage, and that these are the people who are so invested that they're willing to pay. And like, obviously, if you have any reasons for doing a Kickstarter that come to your mind that you want to chuck in, like, feel free to put it in. And point 5 that comes to my mind is it tells you where to put your energy and what to prioritize. Like, I've made a game called Drawn Together. I've posted it on Facebook maybe once or twice. I've posted it on Twitter a few times, and Instagram, asking people, hey, what does this look like, a heart or a skull? I wonder if I can reach one of the pages of it. Oh, it's too far away. But I'm really proud of this. And like any game, you could playtest one of these sheets many, many, many more times. And I could spend weeks or months developing new sheets for it, because it's all about having these different sheets. So you play once with heart versus skull, and then you play a second time and it's going to be a different picture. But rather than play the same level again, it's even more exciting. I notice that if I ask people, would you like to play the same again, or would you like to play differently? If it's not a playtest and I genuinely leave it up to the people, they're like, oh, well, I've got the option of doing fish versus car now, let's do something different. That's obviously going to be more exciting. It brings people in. And yeah, I've played the one level many times and it always turns out differently, which I love. But there's no denying that having 50 different levels would be amazing, but that would take me months and big, solid, chunky days, but that's time that I could be spending on doing something else, and that is one of my most valuable resources, the time. And so I need to work out, is that what I should be doing? Or should I be drawing creatures? Or should I be, you know, inventing new games? Or should I be working on Seize the Power? Or should I be doing, you know, working on a game to pitch to Alley Cat Games? I should mention that some of Dice Theme Park I got for free because of my relationship with Alley Cat Games, and I'm thinking about making a new game in the Dice franchise for them. But yeah, it gives you an idea of what to prioritize. Hello, Jess. It's lovely to see you. Hello, Kai. I hope that you're generally well. CD, don't worry if don't worry if you have to. I understand people sometimes have to rush off and then come back. It's all good. Jess, I hope that you're enjoying the rain. One of my highlights. I never thought of you, but yesterday in the warmth there was just a tiny bit of rain. I was like, oh, hopefully it gets out. Are you saying that you've missed me or you've missed CD? But either way, thank you for being here. So yeah, talking about Kickstarter. These are the main reasons that I can think about that I think would be applicable to basically anyone. And especially when you go to a Kickstarter, it's like, what's your objective with this? Because if the game is basically done, then it doesn't really tell you where to put your energy. Because actually, maybe it does. Because when Coral Islands went from Alley Cat Games went to Kickstarter, development was not finished. It was firmly in development. Development was 70% done, but we could have spent a lot more time on it. And we could have done more, but because it didn't go as well as planned, it was like, well, can we justify this from a business expense? Because from Cesar's point of view, time is money. From my point of view, time is just time. And I don't think that there's a strict exchange value. I mean, it's very mutable. Sometimes I'm willing to do something for free. Sometimes I'm willing to pay to do something for time. Sometimes I'm, wanting to charge for my time. It depends entirely on what I'm doing. And if you give me work that I'm more excited about, I'm probably going to charge you a smaller amount. Hello, Timmy. I hope that everything is well. I'm just talking about what's good for Kickstarter, what's a good reason for Kickstarter. And CD, I'm glad that you're enjoying their chocolate mousse. I'm remembering that recommendation. Anyway, Jess, when you say you're going to walk, does that mean that you're saying goodbye? If so, thanks for dropping in and have a lovely walk. Anyway, one reason that I personally wanted to do the Kickstarter was, to know how many to take to a place. Because I wanted to know not just how many to print, but how many roughly to take to Tabletop Scotland. Do I take 50 with me? Do I take 100 of this new game? And in a situation where I'm not able to go by car and I'm taking public transport, it's basically down to the weight. What can I carry on my back? And when 100 games takes about one of these boxes when I get it. So if I'm getting a new printing of 4 different games in time for Tabletop Scotland, I can't take them all with me. That's why, because I know that I'll be travelling myself, I specifically only asked for 50 of each. And I'll take as much as I can physically carry, but wouldn't it be good if I could know, okay, there's a sign that this is going to sell out and I should take, and hopefully I can be strong enough to carry it all, but maybe I can't. The other reason that I wanted to do a Kickstarter was because I want to, inspired by the RPG communities, I really love the idea of community copies. So what this means is that whereas, especially for PDFs, people should be paid for their labour. So it's a case of saying, okay, I'm charging you £5 or I'm charging you whatever price to get this rule book, to get this ebook, and it's a PDF, and then you get the digital files, and that feels like a fair exchange. But if someone isn't able to afford that, then it's nice to be able to give it to them at a lower price, right? And so that's why quite often on Itch or whatever, you'll see people saying, you know what, there's a small number that are available at £1 or 50 pence or even free or whatever price. And these digital copies, if people pay, it might be paid for by someone else. It might be subsidized by the designer, where the designer says, well, I've done the work and can get it. It might be a case where someone says, well, if someone else pays, you know, a bit extra, then I'll help subsidize it as well. So then they'll get an extra copy, and that's really cool. And I was thinking, what if we had community copies for physical games? And so what I want to do is, in all my future Kickstarters, I want to allow people to get the games, even physical games, for a low price. It might be like, okay, £1, digital copies, £2 plus postage and packaging. You get a community copy, and this community copy is, I'm already going to subsidize a small number. Maybe it's like 10% or whatever, like 5% of what I hope to sell. I'm going to get that out to you, and people can pay the normal price. So in this situation, at whatever, and then for, if people want to pay a bit extra, then they can help subsidize another community copy. I hope that makes sense. That was something that I had in my head, and Kickstarter felt like a good way of sorting that out. Talking about taking things to conventions, CD recommends one of those sets of wheels like old ladies use. Do you mean one of those trolleys, like the pulling trolleys? Because if so, I think I know what, like they've got a bag that's kind of vertical, and then you kind of lean it over and then you drag it. Because if so, no, I don't think that would be necessarily great for me. Bear in mind, I would, like, we are talking about it, like when I went to UK Games Expo, I took maybe, I'm going to say 10 of these boxes, and I'm just checking that there's no special information. And so I took about 10 of these boxes, and the box that says Yogi, and yeah, oh, like that, but without the bag, says CD. Okay, yeah, but if I'm making a single trip, if it's me on a bus or me on a train or walking 10 minutes to get somewhere, fundamentally, I can only carry a certain amount. I've got a big rucksack, I've got a suitcase with wheels, and I've got 3 roller banners in my other hand. That is basically all that I could carry. I don't think that having a wheelie trolley, especially on non-flat ground, walking around the streets, going into trains and stuff, I'm not sure that I see it helping me, but I do appreciate the recommendation. Yeah, I think that for smaller things, it's going to be a lot easier. But if you were pre-packing stuff, I think that a suitcase with wheels would probably allow you to move even more stuff. Anyway, back to the main topic of reasons to do Kickstarter. Those are the main reasons that I can think of. 5, like, general reasons, and 1 reason that was kind of specific to me. Yeah, I think that reasons to not do a Kickstarter, I guess there are other reasons. Like, I mean, if you want to self-publish, like, it's not a reason to do a Kickstarter or not do a Kickstarter, just having control. That's a reason to do self-publishing or not self-publishing. And at the point that you're a starting self-publisher, doing a Kickstarter means that you're not risking a lot of money, because back in the day, like 20 years ago, people would essentially have to get a second mortgage or to put down a whole bunch of money before they've got an idea of whether people will actually buy their stuff. And nowadays, like if I'm printing a bunch of stuff and I'm putting money into going to a convention, I've got an idea that people already like my stuff. But when you're just starting, it's really hard to be able to say, or is this money going to come back to me? I don't know. And Kickstarter, it takes out a little bit of that risk. Now, people say, oh, it puts the risk onto the consumer, which is blatantly untrue, because the consumer doesn't pay unless there's enough people. So that's the critical point, that if your target goal is £1, then I can see an argument that says, yes, this is kind of like a pre-order system. But even then, if you've got something akin to stretch goals, because yeah, if it's £1, I'll do this. If it's £50, I'll do this. If it's like £1,000, I'll do this better version. And then everyone's kind of joining in together. I think that, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say on the topic. So I hope that that's been useful. Hope that's been an interesting chat. If you've got anything else, then feel free to ask. But now we get to me asking you. Question of the day, question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. Question of the day. Let me ask you, is there any Kickstarter that you're looking forward to? Excluding my own, that I am, obviously hoping go well, and I'm really excited to see how Drawn Together goes, and I'm hoping, I was thinking the other day about partnering with someone, but yeah, I don't think I'm someone who actually looks ahead and is super excited about Kickstarter and is, yay, this is a Kickstarter that's coming up and I'm excited for. Yeah, I don't think I am excited for any upcoming Kickstarters except for my own. How about you? Are you ever excited about an upcoming Kickstarter? And if you are, which ones? Over to you. What are you up to? You can share a button if you want to. I am going to have some sort of breakfast. Or not. Maybe I will, just have a... maybe I'll go to Lidl. Oh, that would be quite nice. Having had a bit of a rough, day yesterday, I might treat myself to a smoothie. Yeah, I'll go to Lidl and get a cheap smoothie. And yeah, I also need to buy some vitamin pills. And hopefully get the laptop fixed. We'll see how that goes. I'm not expecting it to get it fixed today, but hopefully they'll at least take it away and give me a deadline on when it gets fixed. I've got a business meeting that's normally at 12, and I asked last night for it to be delayed until 2 because of laptop getting fixed. I've got another business meeting at 4 about some potential development work, which is kind of exciting. And the rest of the day, I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of stuff that I might be tempted to do that I just cannot do. I cannot make a spreadsheet full of cards. I cannot rewrite rules without the laptop. I mean, I could, but it's just so much more labor intensive to do typing up a rulebook that it just feels pointless. I'm not going to have a proper go on. Yeah, you know what? I might end up doing something for myself. Just, having a wander, reading a book, and maybe even playing a solo game of Dice Theme Park, which again was given to me for free because of my relationship with Alley Cat Games. I'm going to basically be sort of taking a half holiday, I guess, like an unscheduled half holiday until, maybe Doric will help me on Thursday. We'll see. What are you up to? CD says, I can't wait for COB. Let me know what COB means. I love it, and a new one has sorted the colours issue. Jess says, we are on holiday, we're sitting on the rain, we like it. Well, I'm glad that you found someone to enjoy the rain with you. COB, I'm sorry, I'm struggling with that acronym. Oh, Castles of Burgundy, okay, yes. Castles of Burgundy, of course. Yes, that's one that I've still not played. I've not played either of the Castles games, neither Burgundy nor Mad King Ludwig, but I've heard wonderful things about it. I'd love to sometime. Yeah, so recap and wrap up before we finish up. So to recap and wrap up, what did... See, this is how it goes if I don't take any notes, CD. Now you can tell how good my memory actually is. I talked about highlights. I talked about the dancing and the Ciroc and the laptop and micro macro and periodic and Ice Theme Park. I'll do a review of them properly at some point, although I probably won't review Dice Theme Park or any other game where I'm working for the publisher, or where I'm designing, heavily with the publisher in mind. Yeah, I then talked about freezers, and Yoda talked about water. Indeed, Yoda, water is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But let's also appreciate electricity and freezers. Oh my gosh, and water. So good. Then I talked about reasons to do a Kickstarter, getting the money for that one project, getting the money for the following project, so that this one project isn't going to put your company at a standstill, so yeah, you can keep doing things. Estimating the demand, working out how many to take to a particular place, which is kind of similar to how many to ship to particular destinations if you're working with big fulfillment centers. Communicating with backers, and I talked about all that, and I didn't even really get into, yes, it is a marketing opportunity, there's no denying that. And if someone's following me on Kickstarter, they're going to see the Kickstarter, it's a way for them to say, hey, I can buy this now. Yes, it taps into the whole pressure to buy now as opposed to after the Kickstarter's finished. And yes, I get a bigger percentage of the money as opposed to doing it through a shop. I didn't even talk about that. But communication with people is kind of, and those are fine reasons to use Kickstarter, but communication with people is more important for me. Like that channel of getting that feedback and acting on that feedback. And yeah, being able to do those community copies, which I am going to do for all my future Kickstarters, I think is a big reason for me personally why I want to kind of foster that. And that is what we talked about. Then we talked about, Castles of Burgundy, looking forward to particular Kickstarters, enjoying the rain, whatever. And if you want to check me out, I am Stuff by Bez in all the places, stuffbybez.com, stuffbybez.bigcartel.com. Oh my gosh, I am not going to be able to send out anything that's been bought until I get my laptop back. That is not great. And I'm going to have to apologize to everyone. Hopefully everyone will understand. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and also stuffbybez.com/Discord, stuffbybez.com/streams. I do expect to chat to Jess Medringham tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have a good chat. I love chatting to Jess. And the rest of the things you can check yourself. Thank you, everyone. It has been a lovely thing. Even though I've been on my phone and I know it's been a bit wiggly, I can see the screen occasionally turning black. Do you see the screen like maybe once every minute or something? Just there. It turned black just for half a second. Did you see that? Or is it just on my end? Let me know, please. As opposed to that, just once more, yeah, thank you very much. It is a delight, and I hope you've enjoyed this. CD says, nope, it's fine here. Thank you for letting me know. That is good to hear. I guess it's just the way that on mobile phone. Yep, it just happened again. A bit black flicker. Yep, I'm guess an impromptu thing away from tech. Yeah, but lots of love and bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song to do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye, and have a wonderful day, evening, night, sleep. Start to your day, end to your day, whatever it is, wherever you are. Bye, bye. Bye, Timmy.